Hi, I'm Luke Searveld. Welcome to another episode of Meet the Gaffer. I'm here with Alan Steinheimer, and we thought we'd just chat a little bit about kind of the evolution of lighting, where we are at the current moment. And it's changing so quickly that it's like every 6 months we have to sort of check the pulse of where we are at. So to do that, Alan's got some new carts that he's made up. That's a thing too. When things change so much, then with your old units, now you're swapping them out for new units. And how does that change the way you set up your truck? How you set up your equipment, how you configure things. So yeah, take us through your carts a little bit.
Sure. Well, this is the first cart, a little bit more multi-purpose. Sky panels, a smaller sky panel.
2 S60s and an S30.
S30. And then the new Dado 7s that you turned me on to. A couple of Astras, M18, M8. And the ballast for the HMIs there. So,
couple stands.
It seems, I always felt like we used a lot more Fresnels, in the past. And those have just sort of gone by the wayside. The M series on ARRI does a pretty fair representation of Fresnel-like characteristics if you put one outside a window or put some kind of break up if it's far enough away from it.
Little spot flood.
Yeah, but lighting's really going towards everything soft. And the ARRI sky panels and the whole LED line, generally their strength is in softness, not in a hard pattern kind of thing.
Which is funny because the first LEDs were all about getting as much output out there, but you had to soften it. Now, most of them come with some kind of a translucent front, and you still go ahead and soften that as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's all about softness. Yeah.
And, the sky panels were really the first ones that were bright enough to actually to have a big piece of diffusion in front.
Yeah.
Up until then, like the Astras and stuff, I just wouldn't use them as a key light.
Right.
They weren't quite that bright. So, and the Dados I've loved from way back, and they've sort of replaced the tweenies that did the little detail things on a set.
Which are Fresnels.
And there are LED Fresnels out there. They're just not that bright, and they're big, and they're fairly heavy. I'm looking forward to the day when they are significantly brighter and perhaps smaller. Maybe that day may not come. I don't know.
Okay. And then
all right.
This cart?
The other cart, so in the last, 10 years or something, Jolicos came into being. More and more use out of them all the time, especially as a sort of precise bounce. Initially it was, just maybe pattern projection or something, but people started realizing you could put like a 19-degree barrel on it. You could shoot it all the way across the room. You could put a little card up someplace, and you could have a really well-defined light source there. All you really had to rig was the show card or the foam core. You didn't actually have to get a light up there.
Right, so you didn't have to rig something heavier or whatever and run power to it. You could just, put a point of light from across the room.
So I have a 400 and 800, and then what's come online here just in the last year or two is the Source 4 LED Licos. There's two versions. I only have the two daylights. I know you have the Luster, which is the RGB version.
Yep.
But I use the daylights a fair amount. They're not super bright. They're brighter than the first go around, so they call these Series 2. Jolicos are still brighter yet.
Yep.
And if you need a lot of foot candles, then I'm back to Jolicos. So.
Yep. So Jolicos still HMIs, just like the M series, but where you can either make them patternable or use them as bounces. So and then
we have the new series of Kinos. They're basically LED. Surprisingly enough, they look very similar, of course, to what the old 4x4s look like. I actually find I'm taking the 31 out of its shell and using the honeycomb, and it's sort of a fairly directional soft light that's fairly lightweight. Mm-hmm. And the honeycomb really narrows it down. So
So these are the freestyle S30, the Select 31s.
That's right.
Yep. Yep.
And of course, dimming bicolor and then gel color as well. So,
Yep. Yeah, so you get all the capability that you get out of the sky panel, just in a sort of a different form factor and a little less output, but lighter.
That's right. And then this was similar to the Fat Boy, the 2-foot 4-tube Kino in terms of sizing. So.
And that's the 21.
That's 21.
Yep. And then on the back side,
we've got some light mats. I don't actually have the light mat 4 here, but I'll be carrying the 2L and the light mat 4 plus, 2L plus, 4 plus. They're great rigging lights.
yep.
And I actually have some honeycombs that are coming in. So again, another fairly precise soft light, but even easier and lighter and bigger than these to rig.
Right. Right. And then you've got some quasars, some just single tubes.
Yeah, 2-foot, 4-foot. These really sort of substitute for the Kino tubes of old, only now they're bicolor and I can dim them.
And you just change your color right on the tube.
That's right. And it's a conventional dimmer, surprisingly enough. I have no idea how they manage that technology.
Right,
but
right.
So save all those hand squeezers, you may use them yet. So
Big time. Yeah. And then what do you got down here? Anything?
we got a little bit of light ribbon. So I use these periodically for, little sort of Heidi lights, this kind of stuff. It's the first setup of the light gear version of all this stuff. They're coming out with brighter stuff, but this, for in-close work, this still seems to work.
And you're usually diffusing it and having to make your own sort of black wrap barn doors and all that.
That's right. We used this for a iPad the other day. Just put it on, ran it down the sleeve, and gave a little screen light.
Yeah.
Adjustable, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Remember when that had to be tungsten?
Yeah.
Like little pepper lights, and they were just so hot, and you had they would burn your fingers. Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about how the equivalencies of these lights compare to what we used to work with.
Well, one thing is, in some ways, lights have become more specialized. It used to be that you could use Fresnels for a lot of different things. Use them for the precision of the Fresnel, but you could also bounce it into a card, or get a bunch of them to get a bigger one for a key light through diffusion. Now, with LEDs, it's sort of like the breakdown is getting more specific as to what it's best at. So these are best at, diffusion. These are best at, more precision. And being able to dim rather than having to wrap a Kino tube with ND, way better, way better. So, but it also means you need to carry more instruments. And there's some overlap, like the light mats are soft. They're a little lighter and easier to rig. They come in more sizes at this point, maybe just a few more sizes than this, a little bit lighter. But there's some overlap here, so it's a little annoying if you're an owner of having to feel like you have to own all these different instruments to cover,
Right. Right. And they're changing so quickly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's your other danger, is that it's obsolete before you're actually able to rent it enough to get your money back. So.
But one nice thing is, like with the Kinos, you don't have a whole lot of extra tubes because you don't have to change them out anymore.
Yes.
It's just all the color is in the fixture already. You still have ballast, but you have the option of putting it on the fixture or not. And then with ellipsoidals, you've got a little bit of color change even with the Daylight HD version. You can warm it a little bit and cool it a little bit. And you don't have the heat.
Yes.
You have a fan, but for the most part, I haven't had a whole lot of issue with fans in sky panels or Astras, or not yet.
Yeah.
Maybe as they get older, we'll hear the fans more.
The soundman never invited us to parties anyway, so.
Yeah.
The one thing that is nice is the joke on the set is the new electrical distribution is basically a stinger and 2 cube taps together.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, the amount of times that we have to run big power is greatly diminished.
Right. So the fixtures are changing like crazy. The power is not, and if anything, the big cable never comes off the truck.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is good too. Yeah, so that just kind of brings us up to date on how quickly things are changing and how you end up, I mean, you make your own carts, you sort of weld them and stuff like that. So you're like redesigning every once in a while these carts to fit the new fixtures. But these are, yeah, it's pretty slick layout and a lot of capability. So yes, we're spending more money more often on these new fixtures, but we're gaining speed and setup. There's a lot less colored gels being pulled out, and so it's yeah, exciting time, and it's just kind of fun to stay up to date. So thank you, Alan, and we'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching.